Milwaukee, and then taking you around southeastern Wisconsin, around the state, around the country, and around the world. That is the power that we have here at the Wisconsin Live Desk. Feeds from all over the place, and we'll give you a quick whip around of what we're watching here on this Wednesday afternoon before we start things off. It is a packed show, or not show, I should say, ahead over the next hour or so because of everything happening kind of in the moment in the places that we can take you. So first and foremost, some of the things that we're watching here closer to Milwaukee, a live look at the Wisconsin Avenue cam in the Marquette interchange there. You're seeing some law enforcement off to the side as it looks like a tow truck is dealing with a crash there, but traffic quite slow through the Marquette interchange going south. If you're going on 43 south onto 94 south of downtown Milwaukee, you'll have to look out for that. Elsewhere around the world, we are looking, of course, at the continuing ceremonies for the late Pope Francis, as you're seeing a live look inside St. Peter's Basilica here at the Vatican. The Swiss guards on the left standing watch over the Pope's body as Catholics and onlookers who want to honor his memory and be a part of history here, making their way through the Basilica to pay their final respects as his body lies in state there until Saturday's planned funeral at the Vatican, when some of the visitors will include world leaders like President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, and many others expected to attend. Back here in the United States, we can take you out to the West Coast. This is California. On the left, you see there Nancy Pelosi as she is hosting an event right now. Let me get you some information on this that just started on the economic impact of tariffs in her home state of California. This is a press briefing coming from San Francisco there, as you see, certainly discussing, I would imagine, the price of produce and other imports from around the world as a result of some of the tariffs still in place from the Trump administration. And that's Nancy Pelosi about to step to the podium. And since it's the Wisconsin Live Desk, let's give you a live look. We are definitely going to check in on this over the next hour or so. Finally, some progress for this boat that has been stranded along the Milwaukee shoreline just north of downtown Milwaukee since last fall. At first, it was kind of fun. What was this boat doing here? As you can see, it turned into a whole lot of graffiti and kind of a mess. There were a lot of questions about who would pay for it. The owners have been hard to reach. There was a local salvage company willing to do the job but not do it for free. And then today, progress. As you can see, some of the salvage expertise has been brought in to get this boat finally off of the beach right along the shores of Lake Michigan there, north of downtown Milwaukee. Has turned into a little bit of an eyesore here as we get ready for the summer months and so many people out and about along the lake. We're going to check in with our reporter at the scene to get more of the details on what exactly is happening. As you can see, they're trying to pump some water out and around and eventually bring a barge in there to deal with this boat. But we are going to start here on the Wisconsin Live Desk with someone you just heard if you were watching Fox Local on the Wisconsin Weather Experts. That is one of our weather experts here. Lisa Michaels joins us now live. You are out in the field on assignment today, Lisa. I'm sure very exciting for you, but you're about to share why it's very exciting for all of us as well, not just ones who forecast the weather like yourself, but those of us that have to live with it and plan around it each and every day. Where are you, Lisa, and what are you telling us about on this Wednesday?
Well, I'm still in Wisconsin. They haven't sent me to Hawaii yet, but maybe that's for another mission that we'll have for weather. Yeah, here in Lost Lake, Wisconsin, again, not too far from Juneau in Dodge County. And boy, has the weather changed, Carl, for the better. We had some showers, even some thunderstorms, dark clouds this morning, and now we're welcoming the sunshine and blue skies. But we're here for a reason. It's not to analyze the sky. It is all about the new weather network systems that are being installed across the state of Wisconsin. And really, this is called WiscoNet. The University of Wisconsin-Madison has an awesome team of people that are helping this dream come true. And we're going to welcome in Caitlin and Michaela. They are really the brains of this mission, the instrumentation engineers that we have with us setting up one of these weather stations today. So thank you for joining us on our show today. I guess my first question is, have you been out here a long time this morning to install this weather station?
Thanks for having us, Lisa. We've been out here since 10 a.m. So, it took about 2 hours to get where we are right now. And Yeah, really glad with the sunshine.
So I want to kind of go bit by bit of what is the actual mission of us being out here today. And then we kind of want to go into what this actually looks like for people who might be driving by and seeing these across the state. They may say, well, what's that weird device? It's not alien technology, for those who are wondering. It is going to be weather instrumentation and really what the premise of it is. So what is your mission in installing these across the state?
So what we're doing today is installing the 59th station for Wisconsin since 2023, and our goal is to get to 80. We want to have at least one station in every county in Wisconsin, and we are trying to get this data to the public and to organizations who use this data for weather forecasts, and on and on and on. Mm-hmm.
So it's really going to reach out to a big group of people. One of the things that I think is very fascinating and I am really excited about for this is it's free, first of all. The information is going to be drawn to your website. So not only researchers and organizations can get access to the data, but the public can. What is the website if people maybe want to check it out where they can get this weather data?
Sure. Our website is wisconet.wisc.edu, and currently we've had an upgrade to the website. So we've got a bunch of brand new tools that will be helpful for not only weather experts, but also regular end users, farmers, anyone who would find the data useful for their operations or just in their day-to-day. We have lots of new tools on the website that make the data accessible to a wide variety of end users, and that's kind of our whole goal, is having all these stations but also making sure the data is getting to the people in a way that's helpfully communicated to them.
And what kind of data is accessible on the website? Because when we say data as scientists and engineers, you know, we may know what it is, but to a normal person who maybe isn't as savvy, what kind of things can they see?
So it's going to be 5-minute resolution measurements coming from the station. So if you want, we can go from the top down on the weather station.
Let's do it.
And show you exactly.
Do you want to hold this so you can, because you're going to move around a little bit? Show us what we got.
Great, yeah. So we'll start at the top, right at the sun, is the wind sentry. So we've got wind, speed, gust, and direction. One down from that is a solar pyranometer. So that is measuring the global radiation, so like the sun power coming down. The next one down is an HMP 155. That's our air temperature and relative humidity sensor. And we'll go down here to the brains of the station. Excuse the wires, we'll get those all tidied up before we go. So in here we have barometric pressure and the data logger, which processes the data and turns it into a measurement we can understand. And then all of these stations are sending the data to the website with cellular service. So we've got a cell modem here doing that work for us. Powered by solar panel and battery. Next we'll come over here to the leaf wetness sensor. This here is just a panel that if there's water on it, it's going to give us a value to tell us that it's wet. So is there dew? Has it been rained on? Yeah. Next we'll go over to the rain bucket, or the rain gauge.
Sure, yeah. So over here away from the station is our rain gauge tipping bucket. Has a collection funnel to collect liquid precipitation and a tipping mechanism inside the rain gauge that will equate one tip to an increment of rain. So that's for liquid precipitation. And finally, we have our sensors underground. So right here, we're about 50 centimeters down. This is halfway to where we get all of our sensors in. We have 5 soil sensors that measure soil moisture as well as soil temperature at depths of 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100 centimeters. So the whole range. And that makes up for our last sensors on the station.
So what's really interesting about this is it's not only the weather and observations above the ground, but also beneath the ground, right? We talked about things like drought conditions, how cold the ground is when we have the winter months heading into the spring. So really what we're analyzing is everything that people need in Wisconsin, right? And that's the goal, not only here in Southeast Wisconsin, but you're installing these everywhere across the state, correct?
Yep, that's correct. Everywhere in Wisconsin, and yeah, like Caitlin mentioned, by the end of this year, having one in each county to get full spatial coverage of the whole state.
Well, this is fantastic that you ladies are out here doing this. And what's great is the weather's nice, right? We're not dealing with rain anymore. One of the things is, are you just putting this on random spots of the land, or how are you figuring out where they need to be? And is it public land? Is it private land? How's that working out?
Yeah, so our program manager, Chris Vigaski, he's primarily involved in scoping out sites. We have a mix of private and public stakeholders as our site hosts, so we'll have some on people's farms if they have land that would be appropriate for a station, as well as in Forest Service land. So really a variety of stakeholders who serve as our site hosts, and everyone's been really great so far, and we've even had more and more people reach out asking if they have a spot where we could use a station. So everyone seems pretty excited about what we're doing.
Perfect. Yeah, whatever you want to add.
We're putting these stations where Wisconsin really needs them. So identifying where there are existing stations, RAWS, RAWS, and ASOS stations, airport weather stations, and we're filling in the gaps. So we get data from all over Wisconsin.
Perfect. What's going to be great about this data is, again, not only are businesses being able to use it, farmers, but the public can use it. I think some of the end goals, it really does come down to the bread and butter of the state. It's the farmers who need to know the information of what's happening in their local area, because maybe when you watch us on the news, you might hear us talk about the temperature in Milwaukee, the temperature in Waukesha, but in between those areas, that's what we call a data gap, a weather gap. So these sensors across the state are going to fill some of those gaps, which can not only help farmers, hopefully one day we're able to ingest this data into our weather system, so we can also provide that to the public. Another thing which I think is going to be great about that is the more data, the better, right? And if we can get more data, we can forecast better. We can do things such as additional lead time if we have big weather events like severe weather, or maybe even helping with winter. I appreciate both of you for giving us the tour of what you're doing today. And again, we can't wait to hear about the updates and the big goals for the years to come. So thank you.
So
Carl,
fascinating
back
to
to
hear
you.
Yeah, talking about that, Lisa. Just double checking because we were fixing some audio. You can still hear me out there, right? I wanted to throw you a quick question if possible.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yes.
So what is
Sorry,
your
we were having
question?
some issues. Just in general, you kind of laid out a little bit of it there, but the opportunity for your side of things, obviously a lot of the focus there is on the weather data and on how individual farmers and things like that could use it. From a forecasting side, will this be advanced level data that you guys will be able to kind of pinpoint forecasts that we'll see here at the station, that our viewers will be able to get when it comes to snow events, to severe weather, everything like that, in terms of knowledge being power for you guys and what you're able to do with it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, for our FOX6 weather team, it's going to be crucial to have the more data, the better. So as I just mentioned, when you see our maps where we are showing the temperature, we are showing things such as the dew point, that data is all taken from our ASOS station. So that's in association with the National Weather Service. But we're hoping to add more towns on the maps to able to show more information for the weather data. And really, when we talk about weather and everyone wants to know what's going to happen at my house, are the storms going to hit here, how much rain have I received, this is going to help give us more accumulation of precipitation in zones. It's going to help us be able to analyze the atmosphere a little bit better at the surface. So the things that are ingested into severe storms, for example, all that data is crucial in able to analyze and figure out what's going to happen where our viewers live. So when hopefully we can get this data into our system, it's going to be a huge advantage for us at FOX6. So that's the end goal at some point. Again, National Weather Service can access this data as well, so that could help with the forecasting for lead time. It can help with things such as, again, we know the winter months, we get a mix of weather, what the temperature is like in areas, whether you could see rain, you could see a winter mix, or you could just see snow. So it all comes down to just adding more sensors across the zone of southeast Wisconsin and really the entire state. We have a lot of people who like to enjoy the outdoors, and again, farmers are going to need this information as well. So it's important for everyone. I think the best thing is that we are adding more resources statewide, because while we have metropolitan areas like Milwaukee, we have a lot of rural land outward, and that's kind of where we have a lot of gaps too that we need to fill. So this is a big step, I think, in the meteorological field that's going to help us out in the future months to come, especially able to help areas like the National Weather Service, who can only do so much. They can only launch so many weather balloons a day to give us data. So this is just another version of data and instrumentation that we can use daily to improve our forecast abilities.
Yeah, it's well said, and certainly as we get you back here in studio, Lisa, I know we have had certainly some issues that we followed nationally with cuts to the National Weather Service as well, so having other avenues for data certainly will help forecasters and help people keep people safe, which is the ultimate goal of our weather experts like Lisa. Thank you so much. A fascinating day, I'm sure, for you out there and in terms of what's to come. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thanks, Carl. Have a good one.
We'll let her get back to us here in Milwaukee from Dodge County. You can hear it in her voice, right? Hey, did you guys just see what popped up over my shoulder here? This is the beauty of the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's NFL Draft Week right now. Let me see if I can pop up Mark Murphy, the team president for the Green Bay Packers. I believe that feed just actually froze. He was talking. There we go. Okay, so it's kind of coming in and out, but we'll try to listen to Mark Murphy. It is draft week, the first round tomorrow. Let's see what he's talking about live in Green Bay.
It's definitely here now.
We talked last month, you wanted to deliver the Wisconsin experience to everybody that's going to come make a pilgrimage. This is obviously clearly going to do that, but when you look around with the entire setup from the theater to the experience, how well do you think you guys delivered that Wisconsin feel?
Oh, the league hit it out of the ballpark. It's definitely, this is definitely a Wisconsin draft, and it's got a theme. And in most of the other cities where the draft has been held, it's downtown, a very different atmosphere than here. And being right next to Lambeau Field, and I've been able to look into Lambeau and see all they're doing there. I think people are going to love it. The prospects will have the red carpet in Lambeau Field. That's pretty special. But just the league obviously knows what they've got this down, and it's unbelievable. And Roger talked a lot about how what they wanted to do was bring the draft to the people, and they've done a great job of it.
How are you feeling this week? Is very much a lot of
And apologies for some of the glitchiness there. As you can see, a lot of different media up in Green Bay. That was our Sam Kramer asking a question of how the league has brought this Wisconsin feel to the draft in Green Bay. Just the second time it's been in the state of Wisconsin. You have to go back to 1939, a year Milwaukee hosted. And let's just say the draft has changed rather dramatically since then. We're going to hopefully check back in with Sam Kramer, who was our reporter there, speaking with Mark Murphy for the NFL draft momentarily. He is up there checking out some of the preview events for what will happen then tomorrow for all the fans. The first round on Thursday in Titletown, second and third rounds Friday, and the rest of the rounds on Saturday, with all kinds of different fan experiences to enjoy here in our state over the next few days. We have to take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but when we come back, we're going to get another view of the draft week here in Wisconsin. That would be the impact on Milwaukee, as our Aaron Mabin is chatting with some of the people arriving in town here to enjoy the draft, or at least make their way up to Green Bay from here. It's a big event for Milwaukee, as it is a massive one for Green Bay to finally land the NFL's biggest event of the offseason here in its smallest market. We'll take a short break and see you on the other side on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is 12:51 on this Wednesday afternoon, the day before the NFL Draft officially starts, with the Tennessee Titans on the clock for pick number 1 up in Titletown. But before that, we are going to get you out to the airport as our own Aaron Maben is now standing by. Let me make sure we get the right camera there on Mr. Maben. How are you, sir? It's good to see you. So, as we know, this is a massive event for Green Bay.
Yeah.
Milwaukee benefits as well. Tell us what you found already at the airport.
You know, Carl, I think we got a little beef because this is my first time on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Where have I been? Well, I'm finally here, and I'm here on a really big day, not only for the city of Milwaukee, not only for the airport, but the entire state of Wisconsin. We are talking about the NFL Draft. So this morning, as I was getting ready, I said I really want to talk to people who are coming to Wisconsin for the draft. Are they really going to experience Milwaukee? Earlier today, I went to visit Milwaukee, Carl, and they are expecting a big boom. We're talking about hotels, restaurants, everything, not just today, but after the draft as well. So get ready for that. We're going to get some really big numbers. But here at the airport, it's been a blast talking to people from all over the country. I talked to a Dolphins fan. We saw some Tennessee Titans fans. But we got to talk to some Packers fans. So I'm here with Nick, who is from Port Washington, and Jesus, who has come in from Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm going to start with you, Jesus. You could not miss the draft. Why did you want to be here, my friend?
Because it's once in a lifetime event, you know, especially being in Green Bay, which I love. It's my favorite place. I've been to like 15 NFL stadiums, and there's nothing like Green Bay, Wisconsin.
You're a guy from Salt Lake City now, but you're from Idaho. How do you become a Green Bay Packers fan?
I kind of stuck. Part of my stepdad, he was a fan, but I grew up in a small town in Idaho, and one of my brother's classmates got drafted by the Packers from Boise State. So part of why I'm wearing the hat, and also representing for Ashton Genty. So
you're wearing the hat. The whole outfit is awesome, man. But we got to go down to the shoes because these shoes are special, and they're part of your story too, right?
Yes, I do custom shoes. Yeah, these are I did these back in September when I came for the home.
Look, I mean, Carl, look at this. It says cheesy. Oh, was this like customs? I love
those
this
are
right
fly,
here.
Aaron.
And you're gonna be rocking this. Yeah, right. My anchor Carl says you're looking fly, and you've been able to meet some NFL players through the shoes too, right?
Yes, I've done a couple pairs for Charles Woodson, and I did a pair of shoes for Jordan Love last September as well.
So the NFL announces the draft is going to be in Green Bay. You're saying, I gotta go. Is that right?
The very same day, I called my friend who lives in Green Bay, and I told him, hey, just a heads up, I'm staying on your couch for the draft. And here I am.
You probably saved a lot of money, too. Okay, Nick, let me bring you in from Port Washington. This has to be cool to see a friend here who you don't get to see too often. What is that like?
It's the best thing ever. Bringing Packer fans all together, nothing like it, you know.
You were telling me earlier you're going to not hang out in Milwaukee. You're going to head up to Green Bay.
Correct.
What are you most looking forward to when it comes to the draft?
The different experiences that you get, like all the different fans. You know, it's not like a win or a loss. Everybody just comes together to enjoy a historic Lambeau Field. Like nothing like it.
So we were chatting with someone earlier, and they said this is a day where everyone's getting along. Everyone's a family. It's that camaraderie.
Right.
Are you expecting that as well?
I think so too. You know, because everybody does the fun activities, whatnot that's going on, and just loving Green Bay, and all of Wisconsin. I think after the draft, a lot of people will come down. They'll see there's a Bucks game. Maybe we'll pack the Pfizer.
I'm thinking that's going to happen. Yeah.
Because they get to see a playoff game, and they'll be right here in the Deer District or right in, downtown Milwaukee.
Okay, what's the game plan? Because I'm not going to be going up there. So what's the game plan for both of you? Like day one, what are you going to be doing? You got a little smile right here.
Man, I'm thinking a lot of good food and probably some good beverages as well.
Yeah.
So.
And you've been to Lambeau before.
Yeah, I've been there quite a bit. So I'm really excited for it. I made a lot of friends, from a lot of other states. I have friends from Utah coming in as well, nice. California. So it'll be fun.
Hadn't that been cool? Because we've been standing here for a while now to see all these people coming off, and a lot of them are wearing not their favorite teams, but we're wearing a lot of Packers stuff too.
It's
right?
Awesome, man. It's great to see it. Yeah, and it'll be really exciting to see once you see everybody there from all different teams as well. I think it'll be really good.
Hey, get out of here. Go have some fun. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I appreciate it. Hey, Jesus,
Go Pack, go.
You heard that? You heard that right. Go Pack, go. Carl, let me show you something really quick because I want to show you this image right here as we talk about fashion. Jared, why don't we move over this way? Sorry, doing a little logistics movement.
That's all right.
They have a tent here. They have a tent here at the airport, And underneath, they have all this draft clothing. So we're seeing these sweatshirts
nice.
here. We're also seeing these T-shirts. And I was chatting with someone earlier, and she said this table right here, this is where everyone's really tackling. They're trying to get these T-shirts. I believe the double XL, they may have run out of the double XL. So
Okay.
if you are watching and your loved one wears a double XL, maybe get a triple X and try to shrink it, or just do a 1XL too. I think that's all the action we have right now, Carl. But it's been such a blast talking to all these people. Literally, we saw the Titans fan club here, and there were like dozens of them, and they're like, we really can't talk much because we got to take a bus, head up to Green Bay. They have the #1 pick. And they're eyeing that quarterback.
A lot of questions about where they go with that and how the rest of the draft shakes out as well. Aaron, covering it all for us there at MKE. Get your hands on some of that swag. They're going to be moving a lot of cheeseheads here in Milwaukee. It's the Green Bay draft, although we certainly benefit down south. And I love that Utah tie with that guy as well, Aaron, because, of course, Jordan Love, a first-round pick out of Utah State back in the day, 26 overall by the Green Bay Packers. So a lot of carryover back and forth between those two states.
Absolutely, and he mentioned some connection that he has a friend who knows Jordan Love very well, and he talked about how Jordan Love does so much in the community and still gives back. He holds football camps, so that probably just strengthens the Packer pride that he already had, right, Carl?
They call the fan base Packers everywhere, the events that they throw, right? And that's certainly the case. The green and gold running throughout America as they now get to come home to Lambeau Field and to Titletown this weekend. Aaron, I'd say that's a pretty good debut on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We might have to have you back a couple times if you're up for it.
I'll take it. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing you again, Carl.
You are the man. Thank you very much. Aaron Maven reporting from MKE for us there as we get you ready for the draft in Green Bay. It is going to be so much fun. First and foremost, because of something that Aaron and those guys just mentioned, right? The fact that it's not just one opposing team coming to Green Bay. It is the 31 other teams from the NFL and their fan bases all descending on Titletown, the league's smallest market for this weekend, and a chance to celebrate all the things that make Packers culture so great in Green Bay, but throughout the state of Wisconsin, and certainly down here in Milwaukee as well. We're going to take a short break and then get you right back out here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. That boat that has been sitting off the shores of Lake Michigan, stranded for months now, finally some progress, and we will take you live there with our reporter Stephanie Quirk standing by. That's after this break on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
We keep churning here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. A very busy Wednesday afternoon for you here in Milwaukee, throughout the state, of course, with everything happening with the draft up in Green Bay. And then finally some progress on what was not anywhere close to movement on another thing that has caught people's attention over the last few months. That would be the abandoned boat off the shores of Lake Michigan. As we bring in Stephanie Quirk, our reporter on the story. You just told me, Steph, that you've been covering this, honestly, since the beginning of this whole saga back in the fall. It's a rainy day out there that's not stopping workers or fans of this boat and its journey to come down and join you there along the lakefront. So first and foremost, let's just get people up to speed. What exactly is behind you, and why did it become so notable over the last few months?
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. So this boat behind me, it's named Deep Thought. It was October when it washed ashore here in between Bradford and McKinley beaches. So it's been more than 6 months that this boat has been here, but if you've seen it from the beginning, it's changed a lot. You can see there's obviously some fresh paint, as some would joke, on this now, but you can see there's crews actually working, trying to remove it today. A lot of confusion back and forth as to whose responsibility the boat is, who's in charge of removing it here, but we just actually heard today from Mayor Cavalier Johnson, an anonymous donor came forward to help fund the removal of this boat. And so the crew that actually was hoping to remove it in the first place, Jerry Geyer and his crew, they're here working to do that right now as we speak. And like you said, the rain, no amount of weather can stop them from trying to get this boat freed. And there's a lot of people here too, because this boat has become somewhat of an unofficial landmark at this point in Milwaukee. Carl.
I think at one point, Steph, it was even showing up on Google Maps or something like that. I gotta double check that, because yes. I think I read that. But it became this thing, right? Whether it was on Reddit, whether it was on TikTok or some other social media site, people were just kind of like enamored with this boat and why it was still here all these months later.
Yeah, no, 100%. So actually the backstory to this is it was October, so the boat, the owners who are out of Mississippi, this boat was abandoned after they ran out of gas and then skipped town. So for several months, Jerry Geyer, so he's the salvage crew, him and his salvage crew, had been trying to free the boat and kept trying and trying and trying. But at this point, the boat has almost, it doesn't want to move at this point, because a lot of sand and water has dug up under into the propeller. That's added even more weight to this enormous boat, which they said it's roughly probably 15,000 pounds on its own. And now if you think about adding another 5,000 pounds of water and sand dug up into the propeller, it's been a challenge for people to get this boat out. And then of course there was this back and forth as to who's, what municipality this boat is actually on. Is it the city's responsibility? Is it the county's responsibility? And who and when and what and where, essentially, what's going to happen with this boat? It's become a big saga in Milwaukee, and like you said, it actually is on Google Maps. There's a pin for it. Yeah, so you're right about that.
I just went back to confirm. It is indeed there. I didn't make that up. It's hilarious. There's kind of the fun side and the serious side, right? A lot of people loving it who aren't responsible for it, of course, on social media. And then the back and forth. The Coast Guard was involved, the city, the county, the boat's owners, as you said, have been very hard to track down. And this salvage crew operated by Jerry Geyer, who's been willing to do the work from the beginning, but he's not going to do it for free. So what all does it take? Why does this boat, especially having sat there for so many months now, present such a challenge to remove? A lot of people would probably think, oh, just hook something up, pull it away, we're good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the thing that he was saying today, Jerry Geyer. He's actually here on scene as his crew tries to remove it. But not only does it cost a lot of money, because it's a 15,000 pound boat as alone, and they estimate the sand and the water that's been dug up into the propeller has added another 5,000 pounds to that. So not only is that the weight of it a challenge, but it also, Mother Nature plays a major role in whether or not they can remove the boat if it's super windy. And again, this boat was abandoned in the fall, so winter came around, the snow, the cold, lots of factors in removing this boat and their ability to do so. Right now you can see they're actually using a pump to try to get some of the sand, to dig out the sand underneath to see if they can, release some of that weight. And then the next step would be to get a barge out here to try to tow the boat. They have tried multiple times to do that and haven't had luck. They're hoping today is the day if Mother Nature cooperates. But again, not only does this take hours and hours of crews work, but it also takes a lot of money. So as you mentioned, Jerry Geyer, who he was initially trying to get this boat freed when it was abandoned back in October. He said he estimates around more than $20,000 he poured into trying to remove this boat on top of the hours his crews spent. So he reached out to the city to see if he could get that money back. The city said, well, technically it's not our responsibility. So then there was this whole back and forth between the county and the city trying to figure out whose responsibility this boat is, what land it's on. Turns out attorneys discovered it is on the county land, so the county started trying to draw up a plan here to get this boat removed, how they were going to fund it. And now today, that anonymous donor came forward and said, hey, you know what? We know something needs to happen with this boat, so we will fund the removal. We don't know who that donor is. The mayor didn't give much details about the actual person who donated, but the money is there now. So the hope is Mother Nature will cooperate and the boat will be gone.
That is the question, though, right? The next layer of this mystery is who is that anonymous donor, and will we ever find out who's responsible for this? All right, Steph, just to wrap things up here for you, because I know you want to talk to Jerry Geyer and some of the crews out there as well. If people are watching, hopefully they are here on Fox Local, and they are one of the many people that have been fascinated by the saga of this boat, how long do they have? You said Mother Nature hopefully providing a window here, but it could be today that the boat is gone. Is that a matter of hours, by nightfall? What are they hoping for?
Yes, absolutely. They said if Mother Nature cooperates, if all goes well, then the hope is to be wrapped up here about 7 o'clock tonight, because this is going to take, we've been here, since I believe 11, and they've been steadily pumping this for, what is it? It's 1 o'clock now, a couple hours. So, this is just one piece of that. And the hope is to have it gone by 7 o'clock. It'll be freed with the barge towed away. Now the next question, though, Jerry Geyer was saying, he said, well, what are we going to do with the boat? Once it's out, once it's freed, that's the next piece to this saga, Carl.
It's like the song that never ends, right? It just goes on and on to the next challenge, and the next issue. Okay. Stephanie Quirk covering what has been a story that has captured the city of Milwaukee and many people online as well. The mystery of deep thought, and that's going to be all we possibly are left with. Thoughts and questions after maybe this boat is finally getting out of here. Steph, thank you very much. I hope you're able to enjoy this story a little bit today. Quite a different assignment than some of your normal ones, right?
Yes.
All right, we'll let you get back to it out there along the shores of Lake Michigan. Stephanie Quirk, thank you so much. I should mention as well the story that Lisa was handling today with these new weather forecasting operations, courtesy of the University of Wisconsin. Stephanie's story when it comes to the removal of deep thought, finally, along the shores of Lake Michigan. Aaron Mabin covering the draft here in Milwaukee. Sam Kramer up in Green Bay. All of this will be available content for you on Fox Local. This is the Wisconsin Live Desk, where we take you to these stories in the moment as they're happening, and then our team of talented reporters has the opportunity to really craft those stories and put them together in final pieces for you on our newscasts later tonight, as well as on demand anytime here on Fox Local. We do have to take one more short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, hoping to get you back up to Green Bay. We heard a question from Sam to Mark Murphy there as the draft experience gets underway in Titletown. We hope to go back to Sam and check in for more on what you can experience here in the great state of Wisconsin as the NFL's biggest event of the offseason comes to its smallest market. That's after this on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back. Carl Defmaw here in the Milwaukee studios of the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are keeping things moving today, just churning through as it is a very busy day here in Milwaukee, in the state of Wisconsin as a whole, as we bring in our Sam Kramer live up in Green Bay, the site of the NFL Draft this week. So many years of planning leading up to this moment in the next few days in Titletown. Sam, we heard one of your questions of Mark Murphy earlier. I know you've been racing around all over the place, but for people who don't know watching, you've been so involved in our pre-draft coverage, right? This podcast you've done here on Fox Local, as well as many other stories. What is it like being up there today, getting the first full taste of what the fans will get to experience for draft weekend?
Yeah, hi there, Carl. The best way I would describe it is the group project is coming together, right? It's presentation time.
Yeah.
When all the work that you have done, it's time to put it forward and see how it stands. So right now we're standing outside the beer hall. Over this way is where the theater will be, but I want you to take a look at this. Really, it is an event for all teams. Check out the bar stools here. Buffalo Bills. We know these will be busy with fans. Hopefully they're not going to jump through breaking tables. We got the Dolphins over here. Patriots and the Jets fans, well, we'll see how many of them make the trip. They always make the trip, right? And they're always going to boo their pick. We'll see what happens. But we just came, when you saw that question to Mark Murphy, the Packers president and CEO, this is kind of his swan song, and we talked about it in the first episode of Green Bay on Draft. The Draft House does an excellent job from what we saw at capturing that Wisconsin feel. They have pull tabs, the shake of the day, which he said, look, if you don't know what the shake of the day is, then you need to find out and come in. Of course, a lot of us know what that is. And it just really captured the essence. It's the cocktails, it's the pub food, it's the togetherness, the conversations with people you didn't know before, but you're certainly going to know by the time that you leave. And just getting a look at all of this come together is really incredible when you think about how quickly they were able to do this. Really, the road closures just started within a month, and a lot of this has just kind of temporarily stood up since then. There are golf carts, there are ATVs buzzing by, people running around here trying to do last-minute things, all the while dealing with some rain and thunderstorm this morning that delayed us coming in. So the work continues. It's busy, but they wouldn't have it any other way, Carl.
One of the things I love about this whole experience, obviously, is you kind of take the competitive nature out of it to some degree, right? It's not two fan bases going at it and, some opposing fan base coming into Green Bay territory here. It's kind of everyone's here. Everyone has opportunity and hope, and it's a chance to celebrate so much of Green Bay culture without it necessarily being a rival for the weekend to some degree. What seems to be the atmosphere and the excitement from the league side, from other teams' side of things, getting to celebrate here this smallest market in the league?
Yeah, I think the league is certainly excited. They knew that coming here, weather could be a challenge in mid to late April, and I think we all know that, especially living here, right? But they were hoping for perhaps a little bit of snow. I think they'll settle for sunshine and 50 and 60 degree weather with a little bit of a breeze here outside Lambeau Field. We, driving around town a little bit this morning and stopping in at certain places where we had to go to pick things up, started to encounter some fans wearing their clothes, their team clothes, and it's all excitement. Like you mentioned, this isn't a game, so you don't have one fan base clearly in opposition against the other. There's this eternal sense of optimism that comes with this time of year, especially in the NFL, because everyone seems to think that one pick in the draft can change things. And in some ways that's true. But the marketing machine that is the NFL just has it down pat where the season, the slate is wiped clean. You can see how you can improve your roster, whether through addition or subtraction. And a lot of that happens here. Remember, this is really, if you boil it down to the simplest of terms, this is a necessary off-season mechanism in which teams can fill holes on their roster. They can draft new talent and get rid of older players on higher contracts. But it has just really evolved into this festival, into this TV show that so many people will experience here, so many millions more will watch on TV. And Murphy has talked about it, Mark Murphy has talked about it from the beginning. He just wants it to be an impression, a 3-day commercial, if you will, for Wisconsin, for the Packers, and just kind of the Midwest way of life.
Yeah, it's well said. As we'll let you get back to it, I know there's a lot of people to talk to, a lot of work to be done on your end of things. But Sam, you've captured so much of the essence of the draft and just what this means to bring such a massive event to Green Bay here in the off seasons. We'll let you get back to it. Enjoy the rest of your day up there in Titletown.
Copy that. Thanks, Carl.
That is our own Sam Kramer, who, again, if you want to see much more from him leading up to the draft or throughout the weekend as well, check out Green Bay on Draft. This is a podcast that Sam came up with the idea of. He has hosted and fronted and coordinated a series of different guests. It's really been excellent content right here for you on Fox Local, a video version, or you can download the audio of Green Bay on Draft, Sam's podcast, wherever you get your audio downloads for podcasts as well. But it's not just, okay, looking at the picks for the Packers, 8 of them going into this round, or where things shake out with the actual prospects and players, though there's certainly that side of it if that's what you're looking for. He also has so much to do with the economic development that happened to prepare Green Bay and the area around Lambeau Field for this, why this will be such a special event for NFL fans and for Packer fans. The league has called this not just a Green Bay draft, a city draft, as it has been in previous locations like, say, Detroit last year or Kansas City in previous years, but this is a statewide draft, a chance to celebrate that football culture throughout our state. And as Sam said, what turned out or started as pretty much logistics, right? Drafting players onto teams, getting the future generations of players in the right spots. Instead, now it has become a football festival of massive proportion, and it is here in Titletown this weekend. We're going to take another short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Who knows what we're going to find on the other side, because this has been a fun one today. All kinds of stories and content from our team of local reporters, bringing you the news as it happens here throughout the state of Wisconsin.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, Carl Defenbaugh here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, 1:21 on your Wednesday afternoon. We were hoping to take you live to the White House here, as you're seeing reporters now breaking down. The press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, just stepped away from those microphones there, giving an update on a few different topics to the media outside of the White House. I'll try to get you some of the information shared by the press secretary from the administration today, if I can find it before we're done here, just about 9 minutes to go. In the meantime, while that is wrapping up, we can also take you live out to the Vatican, where this has been a steady procession of the faithful inside of St. Peter's Basilica, where starting this morning, local time, at the Vatican, the body of Pope Francis has been lying there in that simple wooden coffin, surrounded by the Swiss guards who are responsible for security at the Vatican, a neutral party, and that has been tradition in history for generations now. And so many people coming from around the world, certainly from Rome and from Italy, but Catholics from around the world and just people interested in paying their respects to a world leader of the Pope's stature have been shuffling through St. Peter's Basilica, coming in from the square inside that giant cathedral, the basilica there, and paying their respects to Pope Francis. In many ways, what you're seeing is indicative of how different a leader he was for the Catholic Church than previous popes and previous regimes of power would have you believe at the Catholic Church. Usually some of the different things that you would see would be the Pope lying in a set of 3 different coffins. Think of it like nesting dolls, 3 different coffins. But instead, Pope Francis, in one of his final wills, wanted instead a very simple wooden casket. He was a pope who always seemed focused on the poor, on immigrant communities, on the marginalized, and chose to exit the world as he lived so much of it as a humble man, not looking to drape himself in all of the different regalia of what was the highest position in the Catholic Church that he held since for 12 years or so, I believe, going back to 2013. One of the other things you'll notice is the fact that he's actually on that level there, not up on a pedestal with people trying to walk around and get a sight, but instead on the same level where people can come in and see him as one of their own. And then finally, after the funeral, which is set for Saturday, this will be a major event with leaders from around the world coming to the Vatican to be part of that funeral and take in the funeral services for Pope Francis, who died at the age of 88. After that, he will not be buried at the Vatican. Again, another break from tradition for previous popes. He instead is going to be buried at a place outside in the city of Rome, one of his favorite places that was in honor of the Virgin Mary, what was apparently his favorite person to discuss things with, as he would visit that church both before and after he would ever leave the Vatican on trips around the world and the like. So again, choosing a much simpler place for his final resting place than what previous popes had been in terms of tradition. But it gives you a sense, there you have it, the wide angle of just how many people have been coming through on today, the first day available for the public to go and view the body of the late Pope Francis, and then what will come over the next couple days before Saturday's funeral at the Vatican. President Donald Trump, other world leaders expected, as this will actually be the president's first visit outside, or first trip outside of the United States since he took office for this second term. He had some previous plans as well, but instead, it becomes a trip to honor the leader of the Catholic Church, as so many other world leaders will do on Saturday. Pope Francis there lying in state at the Basilica of St. Peter in the Vatican. One of the other things we're following today has not seen this as often, but a positive day for the stock market. It was a good one yesterday and continues to be another good one today, as there have been hints from the administration that there could be an easing of tensions when it comes to the trade wars, especially between the U.S. and China. The Treasury Secretary yesterday, Scott Bessent, said that these triple-digit tariffs on both sides, the U.S. has imposed 145% tariffs on Chinese imports to America, and the Chinese have retaliated almost in form. The Treasury Secretary said that there is not the possibility that that is sustainable, saying it was unsustainable to continue at those levels. And the markets responded to that, probably trying to hold on to a glimmer of hope, so to speak, as they were positive, up big yesterday, up again today. The Dow Jones Industrial sitting there up about 500 points or so right now, 1.3 percentage points if you round up there, 1.29 right now on the day, after some even higher rises to start off trading on this Wednesday. One of the other things that was discussed and has led to some of the positive response on Wall Street is the fact that President Trump has eased some of the concerns not only over tariffs, but on a back and forth with the Federal Reserve. There had been a thought that he would potentially fire the head of the Federal Reserve, or at least try to, Jerome Powell, but the president has gone back on that now, saying that instead he will keep him in that position, hoping that he will consider a cut to interest rates, although the Fed and Powell have seemed to stay the course, saying they are not seeing the necessary markers that they need to see in both the U.S. economy and the global economy for there to be a rate cut in the near future. But the market's responding to some of the stability, both the easing in tensions when it comes to the trade war and the easing of rhetoric between the president and the head of the Fed, Jerome Powell, when it comes to that. Some of the other news that we're following here for you on this Wednesday afternoon when it comes to the administration, the FAA posted a notice on Wednesday today indicating that President Trump will travel April 29th to an area north of Detroit. Now, why is that date notable? Well, it's because that will mark his 100th day in office. That's usually seen as a bit of a marker on a benchmark on where the president's accomplishments stand 100 days into a new term like this. And on this visit, the FAA saying that the president will visit an area north of Detroit, a facility that has been the focus of a number of discussions between the Republican president and the Democratic governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. She has been one of the Democratic governors who has actually shown a willingness to go to the White House to have discussions with her Republican opponent in that sense. Whitmer and Michigan lawmakers have been pushing to keep a base open. An A-10 squadron of jets is being phased out, and she is hoping that that will instead stay. In response to a request for comment on whether the Michigan governor would join Trump, again, that's a Democratic governor joining the Republican president, potentially on his 100th day in office, a trip to Michigan, Whitmer's office said, quote, they don't have anything to share at this time. So stay tuned is what that says. We are just about done here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but man, what an hour it has been. Taking you to deep thought, that boat stuck along the shores of Lake Michigan out there, as we will check in once again with downtown Milwaukee. You can't quite make it out, but the salvage crews are working hard removing that boat finally from the lakeshore, hoping for some help from Mother Nature as well as they try to finally remove what has initially been quite a curiosity, turned into more of an eyesore, an abandoned boat along Lake Michigan between McKinley and Bradford beaches. And then, of course, we took you up to Green Bay as well. It is draft week, and we are getting ready for all of it here in Milwaukee and up in Titletown as the NFL draft is now just one day away. Thanks a lot for watching the Wisconsin Live Desk. A reminder, we are here every day for you, 12:30 to 1:30 Central Time in Milwaukee, but covering the news as it comes from around the state and around the country. Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. I'm Lou Canellis. Joining me this week on First and North. Let's bring up the crew. The voice of the Lions. There he is, Dan Miller. From Fox Milwaukee, Lily Zhao. And from Fox Minneapolis, Pierre Nugent. All right, we're just 2 days away from the NFL draft in Green Bay. Lily, how is Titletown looking right now for those of us that won't be making the trip?
Guys, it looks draftastic. Everything is going up. The draft stage, all the decor, the lighting. I mean, it doesn't really even look like Titletown anymore. It looks like the NFL draft came in and made itself at home, but it looks great in my opinion. Yeah, it's through the Titletown district where all the fun stuff for fans will be. Of course, Lambeau Field at the center of it, and then the Resch Center, another big expo center, will also be utilized. So it's looking great, guys. They're of course kind of finishing everything up and leading up to the draft, but people are in town already. There's some rave reviews on what it looks like, and I'm excited to make my way up there too.
Boy, good for you. Yeah, exciting times